First, I need a motion to allow Linda to participate via phone. Member Salzer, Member Rosenbaum. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Nay. You can't participate, Linda.
Oh, don't tease her.
I'm just joking.
Change your vote.
I know you've waited a long time to say that. Yep.
It only takes one to deny.
I know. I understand. That's why I said you've waited a long time to say it.
So, just joking. I'm a aye. So that's all ayes, no nays. She can participate via teleconference. Next is the March 26, 2024 minutes. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Member Blair, Member Duncan. Any comments, corrections, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is the informational items. We'll move to receive and file the first four. Springdale, Headington, American Rescue Plan, Peoria County Enterprise Zone. Unless anybody would like to report on that. Member Duncan, I do think we'll be looking for a new director within the next year for Springdale.
Yes, we're hopefully looking within this year. We're looking at cutting back some hours for him as well, and but definitely looking. We have a group that is on board doing the search for us.
Thank you, Member Duncan. Next, Scott, we have quarterly strategic plan update.
Right. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So in your packets, this is printed page 24 on your iPads. Page 25 is where the executive committee portion starts. We have 19 different action items or goals in the strategic plan you've adopted to be accomplished over a multi-year period. This is a quarterly report, the first time you're getting a quarterly report, but a quarterly report nonetheless that shows what the deliverables or action steps are for each one of those, who the leader of each team is for each one, and the team members. And then probably most important and critical is any update on activity is going to be in our far right column labeled status. This committee has 8 of the 19 items that it has responsibility for. So anything related to economic development or community, county administration and communications will fall to this committee along with other related items. Happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Member Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for those who were not here yesterday, on the facilities master plan, I did ask Scott about the coroner's office, what's going to happen with that building, and if that was part of the plan. So, Scott, you want to give them an update on that,
Yeah.
please?
Happy to share what we did at Mr. Salzer's committee yesterday. Facilities master plan, that you appropriated money in this year's budget to hire a consultant to prepare a new facilities master plan. That RFP is either on the street or will be on the street by the end of this week, and we'll be bringing back a recommendation to Mr. Salzer's committee at a future meeting to award that contract. The scope of services for that work will include all of our buildings with the exception of the jail, because last year you approved a standalone master plan contract for the jail. So we'll have a standalone plan for the jail itself. And then it does not include the new Health and Human Services building because it's under construction right now. But our facility that's on Gift Avenue and Seneca in the East Bluff, that includes the coroner's office and the morgue, the Children's Advocacy Center of the State's Attorney's Office, and a sizable file storage facility, which is the former gymnasium in that building. Those of you that, just as a reminder, before it became a multi-purpose facility, that building was our juvenile detention center up until the late 90s. And so the gymnasium has been converted to long-term file storage. Most of those paper records are either the county clerk or the state's attorney and are not able to be destroyed through the records retention process of the state of Illinois. I know State's Attorney Hoos has been working on a solution long-term for relocating the Children's Advocacy Center. Her goal would be to find either grants and or donations so that there are no local taxpayer dollars expended by the move and any necessary renovations at the new location. I know she's been in contact with multiple community partners related to that project. And then the facilities master plan, also one of the scope components will be looking at long-term records management because we have files there. We have files for another couple of years in the basement of Headington Oaks, of which then Unity Point, now Carl, was gracious to offer at no cost to us, but we're going to have to find a long-term home for those records as well, and several other locations where those documents that are still generated in paper and that we're mandated to keep in paper format, we're going to have to find permanent homes for. So that one of the scopes of work of the facilities master plan will include what that record strategy looks like. Happy to answer any questions.
Member Renault.
I know you stated that the HHS building isn't going to be part of it, but wouldn't it be prudent for us to put in a maintenance plan so we can plan out when maintenance can be done?
So as part of the for lack of a better phrase, the turning on and the occupying of the building, a maintenance plan will be created with the various suppliers and subcontractors to River City, and that'll be turned over to the health department, who's going to be in charge of facility maintenance for the new building.
Okay, thanks.
Good question. Any other follow-up? Seeing none, next we have a small business micro-grant presentation by Member Blair and DI Officer Allen. And we also have a couple other recipients here.
I'll just introduce Andre here. So I believe all of you are aware that we've launched about a year and a half ago a website platform called startabusinessgp.org. This was designed because if you Googled, how do I start a business in Peoria, it came to a static page that had 2 people on it who no longer work in startups. So we felt it was really important to have a place for people to go and get the initial information. And then we thought it was important that individuals have access to sometimes that little bit of starting funds that can be the difference between success and failure, or at least get them to the next point where they can then raise more money. So we created this grant program. We have now given out 30 of these micro grants for $5,000 from about a year ago, so I guess May of last year to now. And we then, we had asked people when they applied, were they willing to talk to us about what their results have been 6 to 12 months down the road. And they all said yes, and so Andre was kind enough to do these surveys for us, so I will give it over to him.
Thank you, Member Dr. Blair, and thank you, Chairman Dillon and members of the Executive Board Committee. For the listening audience, my name is Andre Allen, and I serve as Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer with Peoria County Government. And we had the pleasure of executing this survey, and for today's presentation, we'll be presenting those results. Board members, you all have in your packets the detailed report as well as a one-page outline of the findings for your review. So the overview of today's presentation will consist of me providing just a background of how we got here, the methodology or what we utilized to get the results from our participants, an overview of the findings of the survey, recipients' testimonies, and we have 2 of those recipients here with us today, and I'll have them come up and briefly share their experience, and then our ultimate recommendation to the Executive Committee. So the background, and Member Dr. Blair touched on the background a little bit as well too, but the purpose of this grant initiative, again, was to bolster and mentor and cultivate small business across the greater Peoria area through intentionality and focus. And so 30 recipients have been chosen between 3 cohorts. And so you'll see the survey findings of the first 2 cohorts that were received the survey. So our methodology, or how do we get here? What do we utilize to get these results? So in March 2024, the Start a Business Grant Committee collaborated with my office, which consists of myself and Brittany Graves, and we developed a basic survey that we sent to the initial 18 recipients from the first 2 rounds of funding allocation. The survey was comprised of 11 questions aimed at understanding how the program worked and how the funds were supported their unique businesses. Of these 18 recipients, 9 responded, so that yielded us a commendable 50% response rate. I do want to put a disclaimer that one of the participants stated that they did not receive the grant, and I appreciate our CFO, Heather, and her team. We were able to cross-reference and figure out who did not receive their grant, and there was some paperwork that was missing from that recipient, and since then they have received their grant. That happened after the survey was first administered, so for the sake of the relevancy, I did not include their answers to their survey questions. So we began the survey just with a basic softball question. How are things going for your business currently? And 44.4% said very well, and 33.3% said moderately well. And then we have the rest who have varying opinions, going through some different challenges that happens with executing a small business. What you'll notice is we transcribed the various questions into themes. So this particular question was, could you provide an estimate of how much grant money you utilize and in what ways? I know it's a little tough to possibly see up there on the screen, so I'll just put a couple of highlights out there. One person stated that they used $4,000 for upgrading their equipment and hiring help. Another person said that they utilized it for marketing, booking systems, QuickBooks, and note-taking software. Another person said they utilized the entire grant for audiobook recording and professional bookkeeping services. And one person said that, and I appreciate their transparency, they were in the red, and so they utilized the grant to take care of some past due invoices. The next question focused on the hiring practices. We wanted to see, did anyone add to their workforce based off of the grant that we administered? Of the 9 recipients, 6 said that they did not add anyone to their business, but we did have a few. 3 respondents said that they hired 1 part-time staff person, 1 part-time independent contractor, and then another one said that they contracted 5 different team members as well too. So again, 3 people did add workforce based off of the grant that they received from us. We wanted to know what type of partnerships or engagement opportunities have presented itself with our grant recipients. And one thing we know, and that's why it's so important that we support small businesses are more prone to support other small businesses when it comes to their business ventures. And so before you on the slide and in your packet, you'll see the various businesses that they did business with through their process of the grant. And again, most of those are locally here in Peoria, including CXT Roasting Company, graphic design students from Bradley University, JK Candle Company, and then Allied Numbers, which is a professional bookkeeping company. So again, small businesses using other small businesses to execute their business functions, and we're rotating that dollar here within the Peoria County ecosystem. This next theme looks at what type of growth opportunities have occurred since they've been administered the grant. And I just want to highlight a couple that are highlighted there in yellow. The first one talks about the diversified revenue streams and market access. This individual said, I haven't seen any real revenue growth, but I am now on Macy's.com and I'm currently onboarding with Kohl's.com. I count those as wins. Another person talked about how they got their authority papers for all their hot sauces, and now they're able to switch from cottage food license to commercial. And then one other person said, since I was able to market my business in multiple ways, I've been asked to talk to students at various schools, and I was hired by Peoria Public Schools 150 as a contracted therapist. And then the last person that I wanted to highlight said, we've added users, doubled our income, and developed 4 to 5 key partners in growing our business. The next question looks into, are they still actively engaged with the mentor that they were signed during the Start a Business Grant program? And that mentorship is key in any phase of life, especially when it comes to small business development. And 66.7% of our respondents said that they are still actively engaged with their mentor. So now we want to look at the impact of the grant when it came to these recipients' specific goals. And I'll just highlight again just a few for the sake of time. One person said we were able to open up last year. Otherwise, we were looking at another year before opening if they didn't receive the grant. Another person said I couldn't go to market strongly without the grant money to help with production and inventory. I'm now in great position to really market my product without having to worry about low stock. Again, this person was very transparent. Goals still have not been met, but the grant has helped me get more inventory in the store and get caught up on invoices that need to be paid. And then lastly, this grant truly helped me launch my business and market and purchase necessities such as note-keeping database, website, and essential materials for my business. I've been able to provide therapy for numerous individuals in the community, and I don't believe I would have been able to be in this place in my business without the assistance of the grant. This next thing looks at the impact of the Start a Business GreaterPeoria.org platform and on its business development. And again, I'll just share a couple of themes that were highlighted. This one person talks about mentorship. My mentor has been great, extremely supportive. The tools on the website are also great resources. The next person said, it has helped me get the papers and equipment we needed to make the move to commercial. And then the next person said, it assisted me with critically thinking about my business and curating a plan on what I need to do best to support my long-term and short-term goals. And oftentimes when we are very excited about starting our business, and we can kind of focus on the short term, but again, having that mentorship, having those resources helps them really develop that long-term strategy. And then lastly, this person, again, we appreciate the transparency. They said, to be honest, the impact was minimal. Many ideas and issues were resolved prior to using the platform, and that's fine too. Everyone is on their own unique journey when it comes to their small business. This next thing, we wanted to look at what type of gaps or opportunities still exist that are needed for these small business recipients. And so just a couple that I want to highlight. One person said, I would love to see a list of tried and true experts and their average pricing on things like social media marketing, Google SEO, Amazon SEO. People will say you should really organize your site, but when you ask them for a recommendation of who has done it successfully, no one has a recommendation. I think this points to, again, small businesses want to use local vendors to assist them, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And so you don't know if you're overpaying for a service. You don't know if it's a legitimate service. So again, I think this person is wanting to, a list of tried and true and legitimate, incredible services that they can use for their business ventures. And then the last two that are highlighted here are essentially saying it would be nice to have continued support for annual growth of our business, and we would like more resources in the finance space. So small businesses, they often have challenges when it comes to accessing capital, especially when we talk about scalability and sustainability. These were some reflections that were mentioned in the survey that I'll highlight before I bring up our two recipients that are here present with us in the audience. The first one talked about the positive mentorship and support. Eric Sampson was extremely helpful from the beginning to the end of the program. Eric Sampson was a great mentor and a supporter during the process, and I'm very appreciative of his business insight. This next person just expressed gratitude. Just thank you. There are so many frustrations with being an entrepreneur and so many failures along the way. This grant was the shot of adrenaline for me to keep going. You really got me out of a stress situation, and it's not going unnoticed. Thank you. And then the last one I'd like to mention is the grant gave us confidence and margins to take some chances in other areas of our business. So at this time, I'd like to bring one of our recipients of the grant, and that is Lawrence Harden. Lawrence Harden is owner of Mount Olympus Training, and he's going to give a few brief remarks just about his experience in the program and how his business is currently doing. Lawrence?
Thank you, Andre. My name is Lawrence Harden. The program that we went through, it really did benefit us as individuals. I can say for myself, I was very far along with the understanding of how to run a business and how to start my business, but there were some things that I just didn't know along the way. And talking with my mentors, Chris Youngman and Grove, that we were able to answer a lot of the questions that I didn't know the answer to, like you were just saying. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And so having the loops in front of me and the bounds and the hurdles in front of me, and then having somebody to talk me through those processes, and then not only to talk me through those processes, but then at the end of it have the finances to help back those systems that we developed through that process, helped put me in a position to be able to literally start my business. Before talking to my mentor, I had no equipment. I had no plan of getting a facility. I had no plan or opportunity. I didn't have anybody that was funding my business with me or for me. I had no partnerships to work with. But then having that mentor to put me in a position to be able to go out and receive funding, and then then after that, being able to have the program fund the grant along with it allowed me to put myself in a position to do something that would have taken me 2 years. I mapped it out. It was 2 years before I was going to be able to open my facility, especially in the Peoria area where there's not many places for you to be able to start a fitness or training facility without working outside in the summertime, the entire summer, and then being off for the whole winter time. There was no way I was going to be able to produce that amount of finances to put myself in the position that I am now. I've worked with over 2,000 athletes in the area. I've worked with over 5,000 people as far as adults through athletes in this area, from here and into Morton. I even have parents here who I've worked with their athletes now. Being able to provide my service and take it from Morton back to Peoria was very, very personal to me. And so now that I am in the space that I'm in, I am running into challenges. I am noticing that I'm not able to grow as fast as I would like to. So now, if we're able to continue, and I just got done talking to Chris maybe like 3 weeks ago. I got off the phone with my mentor, Chris Youngman. I got off the phone with him about three weeks ago. We were working on a plan to help relaunch the name of the company and the brand so that we can get more eyes on our company. There's a lot of strength training facilities in this area. There's a lot of I would say, personal training facilities in this area. So it is difficult. But the avenue that I start in and that I reach out to people in is working with athletes in an evidence-based system that provides them an actual program with a year-long package. And a lot of my athletes that work with me understand that they don't get hurt. They come into the gym. We work with them mentally and physically to make sure that we're not overstimulating them, we're not overworking them, we're not putting them in a position where their strength coach at their high school, their sports coach at their high school, and then me working with them, or their sports specific coach who's helping them throw, helping them do whatever their sport actually is injuring them. So having that ability to have my own facility where I don't have to try to sneak in and out of a facility or think about like this, going to Planet Fitness or going to the YMCA and having to sneak through there and work with my clients in that facility like that where I'm not supposed to be doing it anyway. It's impossible to be able to start a business like I'm starting without this type of a funding. And as a personal trainer, you just don't get paid enough to be able to fund something like that either. So trying to get to that point was super difficult. And without this program, without my mentors, without those individuals who have helped me along the way, I was 2 years away from that goal, and that was me really, really reaching every single stepping stone that I would have had set in front of me. So having this opportunity was really beneficial, and I very much so appreciate the city of Peoria and the individuals who came together to put a program like this together. So I thank you all for even being here and allowing me to speak on it. And I thank the organization for starting with this website and starting with this program and allowing me to benefit from it as a person who didn't have the finances myself to be able to start this venture on my own.
Thank you, Lawrence. I appreciate it. And we do have members on the county board here who are very into their wellness. Member Renault and Ricker and Williams and others. And so maybe you guys go check out Mount Olympus.
Andre.
The next person I would like to invite up is
Andre,
yes.
before we move to the next one, just out of curiosity, the data didn't show, but for Lawrence and Kendra when they come up, how did they learn about the program?
I believe I learned about the program. If it wasn't from Andre, I have a lot of friends and a lot of support that I've worked with. I've done with the Bradley. I worked with Bradley, and so if it wasn't from either Andre or Bradley or a number of other individuals who have helped me along the way, I come from so we started this. I started my training at. I don't want to give you a full background of who I am. I started my training at the Riverplex. Who's a member at the Riverplex or gone to the Riverplex in the last couple of years? So that blue squat rack in the back area of the Riverplex, that blue squat rack back there at the very main level is where we started our training platform and systems. That squat rack was the home of our sports performance program and our small adult group program, which you see up there. Mine is called Prime, but ours at the time was just called Group Strength Training. And so from there, we were working there. I want to say we brought in somewhere around 150 new members to the facility. And then also we were working with Eastside Center. We got contracts with Peoria Notre Dame volleyball, golf at Peoria Notre Dame, and then we went on to Richwoods for volleyball, and a number of different other schools around the area, cross country for Notre Dame as well. A number of different areas around Peoria, or schools around Peoria reached out to us to work with their athletes. From there, I went on to then moved out to Morton because there was a lot more opportunity and there was a space for us out in Morton. And so we went to Morton. Me personally, I have my ties here back in Peoria. I went to Richwoods High School, graduated from Richwoods High School as a track and field athlete, went on to do D1 to go do high jump at Western Illinois University. And as I came back, I wanted to be able to provide the services that I didn't get from high school to my high school athletes and to other athletes in this area. Not only just high school, but also middle school and even at college and professional. So I wanted to provide that service. So I've ran into and worked with a lot of people. Like I said, from 2,000 to 5,000, 2,000 athletes to 5,000 people total is what I've clocked in over the last 7 years of my profession and my career. So having that many people in my call log is what allowed me to find this program. So I would assume that it came from one of those individuals, one of those 5,000 people, if not the SBA or the Small Business Association from Bradley University. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Yes.
Not really a question, but I just wanted to say hi.
So I work with his two sons. They're at Richwoods now, right?
They are,
and
yeah.
They're doing. They're on the band team, right?
One of them is in band.
One of them is in band.
Yeah.
So I see. So I've worked with a number of different people in this area, and his two sons. They came in a while back when I was at the Riverplex, right?
Long time ago when you did Fit Kids, and I just wanted to say he was great. They had fun. They looked forward to coming and working out. And something I like to tell my kids is you don't have to be an athlete to be fit. And that's something that I was confused with as a child. Was I thought fitness and athleticism went hand in hand, but they don't. And that's something that you instilled and helped reinforce that. What I was trying to instill in my kids was that you don't have to be an athlete to be fit. Yeah. And I very much appreciated the work that you did with my two. And I'm super excited. I didn't know that you had a place. Where's it at?
So Mount Olympus Training is located on Radnor Road, 7327 Radnor Road, right behind Weaver's Restaurant. So we have there's a bird shop and a nail salon attached to the building that I'm providing right now, that I'm providing my services out of right now. We are right next door to Knights of Columbus, if you know where that is as well. So again, it's working with individuals like this and trying to teach them that even as an adult, you don't have to be an athlete to be able to do exercises that athletes do. You just have to know how to regress it and turn it into something that is possible for you. I don't do bodybuilding, as you can tell. I'm not a bodybuilder. So being able to teach individuals on how to maintain their shape, maintain their mental stability, and maintain their health on a level that matches them, no matter how. I got clients who are 82 years old. So being able to work with somebody that's 82 years old, who is not an athlete, who just simply enough just doesn't want to die soon, is what I like to do. Is what my business is about.
And don't let Lawrence fool you. He just dunked on a kid in the student first faculty basketball game at Richwoods. At this time, I'd like to invite up Kendra Bell. She is CEO of Healing Through Words, LLC. Kendra?
Hi. So Healing Through Words is a counseling services business here in Peoria. I am virtual right now, so my goal, of course, long term is to have a brick and mortar where I can see clients in person. I was in the first round of grant recipients, so last year in May around this time. I worked closely with Eric Sampson, and he was such an integral part as a therapist. I had no idea about the business aspect. I didn't know you needed to write a business plan. So that process was so helpful for me, being able to create a trajectory for 3 to 5 years about what I wanted my business to look like. And then he also helped me really curate what type of clientele I was looking for, which I hadn't considered. I was just like, oh, I just want to see 18 and up. But he helped me be able to target the population that I really wanted to see. I wanted to be able to help people that are like low income, so they may not have insurance, or they may not be able to pay full price for counseling services, which can be very expensive in the private practice sector. So with the grant, I've really been able to help people and offer income-based services for people that can't pay full price. Typical counseling caseload, full-time, you're looking at probably about 30 clients weekly. Right now, I'm operating at about 15, so after a year, I'm about half at capacity, and that's with me doing my business part-time, so I'm at part-time, and then I work full-time. I have about 75% of my clients in the Peoria area, and then the other 25% are in the Chicagoland area. So with counseling, I can see anybody in the state of Illinois, so I get to bring those funds from different cities into Peoria. I've done a lot of partnerships with small businesses here. So one of the things that I've been able to do is create free groups for people. So I do a postpartum and maternal health group with a local business called Love of Labor and Delivery Nurse. And Meet Me on Madison lets us host it there for free. And then the people we bring in, they just buy a product. So then we get 10 people in for this free group, and that business gets, 10 different transactions. So we've been able to also help other businesses get clientele that maybe they wouldn't have had before. Anything else?
How did you hear about the grant?
Yeah, so actually I heard about the grant through another small business, GKB Candle Co. And Courtney Green is also the office manager at Peoria Chamber of Commerce. So she connected me with Kathleen Kelly, and I was able to get that process started. Without the grant, I probably would have been in a similar situation to Lawrence. I would have been looking at launching maybe 2 years out. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time when I decided to come back and start a business, so I was already kind of behind in that sector of like getting back into the workforce and things like that. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kendra and Lawrence. We appreciate you all taking time out of your schedules to come here and provide those testimony. Just in conclusion, based off of the survey results and then the testimonies that you all feel today, I highly recommend us continuing this program in some form of iteration. We are seeing that people within our county are coming to us with a dollar and a dream, for lack of better words, and we're able to provide all types of resources to them, not only just monetary, but also to the mentorship piece, which I think is very key. And so as we look to be a county that is supporting and growing small businesses, especially minority and women-owned businesses, I think that this is a crucial strategy that we should continue to utilize. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. And if there's any questions, feel free to ask. And again, thank you so much to Member Dr. Blair and the committee for letting me be a part of this. And also shout out to my counterpart, Brittany Graves, who was instrumental in us collecting the data and creating these reports.
Any Member Blair?
I just wanted to make a comment. We've heard a lot about mentors. When people go through this platform, they access the Smart Start dashboard. We have contracted with Lifting Up LLC, who is a local startup themselves, who have created a platform that helps people go through the questions that they need to think about in the right order when starting a business, but when they get stuck, it allows them to access mentors. And so we have mentors from the Small Business Development Center. We have mentors from the Minority Business Development Center, the Economic Development Council, the Turner School of Entrepreneurship, SCORE, and Distillery Labs. I was trying to come up with the last one. And to be clear, although we support financially Minority Business Development Center and Distillery Labs, we are not paying these mentors anything extra. This is just part of their normal job. We're just helping people find them. And so the mentors have told me this is really exciting because they're getting to see people that they've never seen before, as well as help a local startup, Lifting Up LLC, get started as well as they continue to grow and take their platform other places. So we are supporting people in tons of different ways, and that makes me really excited. We had put a set aside of 30% of these grants to people in disadvantaged groups, minority, women-owned, veteran-owned businesses. And I don't have the math right off the top of my head, but it's closer to 85% have gone to entrepreneurs who fit one of those categories, and that's really exciting too.
Thank you, Member Blair. Any other questions? Member Williams.
I just have a comment. I really appreciate both of you coming because it's really nice to hear the stories from the folks that these grants are affecting. So I appreciate your time.
Any other comments? Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Next is our loan resolution, a bid award for broadband development projects. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Member Salzer, Member Williams, and Andrew will give this presentation, and there are representatives from Comcast present.
Thank you, Chairman Dillon. In January, Broadband Consultant Design 9 presented to this committee the Peoria County Broadband Needs Assessment and Feasibility Study, which identified strategies and recommendations to increase broadband services throughout the county. Utilizing the results of this study, staff then developed a request for proposal to solicit projects outlining broadband improvements to unserved and underserved areas of Peoria County. Projects should demonstrate how the county's investment could be leveraged with other funding sources to impact the feasibility and or timeline of the proposed improvements. 37 organizations received the RFP. The 3 projects identified in your agenda briefing were the only responses received, all of which came from Comcast of Illinois. Representatives from Comcast are here today to present an overview of their proposed projects and answer any questions that the committee may have. We have Art Svimbersky and Kay Page with the Government Affairs team from Comcast Illinois for a short presentation.
Thank you. We really appreciate you letting us come to council tonight and speak. My name again is Art Svimbersky and Kay Page from Comcast in our Government Affairs Department. We've had a long commitment to Peoria County. This is not, we're not a newcomer to Peoria County. So our commitment really starts with our network. Over the past decade, Comcast has invested $30 billion in technology and network infrastructure nationally and over $1.3 million in Illinois. That allows for even greater customer experience, increased reliability and speeds, and doubling network capacity every 2.5 years. This ensures Comcast will stay ahead of the growing demand, the explosion of new devices and technologies, and more people than ever working and going to school at home and on the go. So I talk about our presence in Peoria County. We have 2 facilities in Peoria, one a technical operations building where all of our technicians and our head end folks work. We have a retail store, an Xfinity store out on Big Hollow where customers can come in and get their questions answered or get new products or try it out cell phone service. Overall, we have more than 90 employees that live and work in Peoria County. And like I said, they live, they work, they buy gas, they go to dinner in Peoria County. We sponsor multiple events between Oktoberfest and the Chiefs and the Rivermen and Bradley University. We're very active in the community. We have a lot of great community partners already, so that sets us up well as we continue to expand in Peoria County. So the Chamber, the Greater Peoria EDC, we're investors there. We work with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Peoria, the Urban League, the Carver Community Center, and the Namie Johnson Community Center as well, just to name some of our partners. So really the projects that we put in for, and there's 3 of them. The first project is 214 miles of fiber optic cable with a capacity to reach 1,218 homes along the northern part of Peoria County. The second proposal is 192 miles with capacity of 602 existing homes across the central part of Peoria County. And then the third proposal is 156 miles of fiber optic cable with capacity of 524 existing homes across the southern part of Peoria County, which really, between those 3 projects, hits a lot of the county that's either considered underserved or unserved, and that's what these proposals are for. I think this really kind of shows between these projects and the areas that the county has decided really represents the commitment by both the county and Comcast to improving broadband availability throughout the entire county, not just one portion of it. So this is just a map of where these projects would be. So as you see, the one in the red is the northern one, and then green, and then we have the yellow. So again, some of those areas are already being served by providers or us. So some of that's not represented on the map, but those 3 projects would really hit a large portion of Peoria County that's totally underserved or unserved at all. So what would be the benefits of these Comcast projects? And I think most of them are pretty easy to understand. You know, for potential customers, just increase reliability and speed. They may not have access to anything right now, or they may have access to really poor broadband speeds. This may be their first opportunity to get broadband. We bring multiple speeds tiers. We don't just have one service. We have multiple speed tiers from very low cost entries to the highest speeds. These folks, obviously in the rural parts, may not have access to telehealth or education. So as we know with the pandemic, many of our students went home, and if they didn't have broadband at home, they were left behind. And the school districts were really left to kind of figure out what to do next. And we're happy to say in our areas, our network was strong, but for those folks who maybe didn't have access, they were left behind. And also, when we build out our networks, obviously we bring our full suite of products. So our video product and our mobile product and our security product and all of our products as well, not just broadband. You know, for the county, you're getting an existing trusted partner. It's not somebody new coming into the marketplace that you've never heard of. It's somebody that's been in Peoria County, has a franchise agreement with Peoria County, and has worked with Peoria County for years. You get a technology leader. Comcast, if anything, is a technology company staying ahead of the curve as far as broadband and security and those things that, we're just not building a network. We have the whole infrastructure in place to really take care of our customers and make sure they have reliable internet and safe internet. And it can be an economic growth engine for Peoria County. So obviously, if you get internet access in areas that weren't there before, We work with multiple site developers, and it used to be water and power were the things that people were asking about as far as site selection. But now internet's one of the first questions, and redundancy to internet is really one of the main questions of new businesses coming into an area. And for Comcast, we get to expand our network, which is great. We get to possibly hire new employees, so potential job growth. And then we get to continue to get more local partners, which only strengthens our business overall. So we're excited about that. So also with Comcast, we have what is called Project Up, and we've been doing this now for a couple of years. And for 10 years, we've had a broadband adoption program called Internet Essentials, and now it's part of our Project Up. We have 10 million Americans that are on a low-cost broadband product, which either $9.95 or $29.95, and it's stayed that price for all those years. And we have over 1,000 community partnerships throughout. Our focus over the next 10 years of Project Up is to advance digital equity and help build a future of limited possibilities. That's going to be backed by a $1 billion commitment to reach tens of millions of people. Our goal is to empower everyone across all communities with skills, resources, opportunities they need to participate and excel in an increasingly digital world. So thank you for the time to present to you today, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Member Williams.
So I have two questions. If we approve this today, when will the work begin? One of those is going to affect my district, so that's why I'm asking, and I know I'll get that question. And then what is the timeline?
Yes, so this project proposal is also contingent on the Connect Illinois grants that we've applied for in these areas as well. So we're just kind of waiting to hear back from the state for who will be awarded those grants. And in those grants, they do have a timeline that we have to meet, and that's 24 months, but we don't know when that clock will start ticking.
Any other questions? And to follow up, and Scott somewhere here, and Art and Kate, appreciate you taking the time to kind of explain this. So this did not use all of our allocation for broadband. It does leave money for another round, but as ARPA needs to be spent or contracted by the end of this year, some of the feedback we got, Comcast, we appreciate them applying why they were still in the Connect Illinois. I think the feedback was some of the other providers did not apply, not knowing if their Connect Illinois grant was going to be approved, which I think we made it pretty clear as long as you were applying for that to the match money to increase. This is about 2,300 households straight from the plan, mostly not connected to the internet, traditionally maybe satellite or something else like that is currently what they have. But this is a big win for 2,300 household plus in rural Peoria County to have broadband services. So much appreciated to Comcast applying for that, and hopefully have out on the street here sometime, I don't know time frame here, but we'll have another round out there to try to increase more blind spots that we currently have. So if your area was not chosen, how much money was left for broadband roughly, Scott?
Let me reference.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Let me reference the ARPA report that's earlier in the packet. All right, so ARPA is. Go ahead and anything else you have to say, Mr. Chairman, while I'm looking that up real quick here. ARPA. So we're going to have. I would say probably in the several $100,000, probably.
Like 3 million we
Yeah, right. So a little over $1 million probably.
Finance is whispering approximately 0.72 million.
Yeah, I knew CFO McCord would know the answer.
About $750,000.
Any other questions? I do appreciate both you taking the time to come present.
Well, thank you. And as I said before, it was very easy for us to decide to make the commitment in Peoria County because of our long history here and the amount of work we've already done. So thank you.
And I will say I appreciate government affairs from Comcast. Now as chair, I do receive I'd say quarterly or every 6 months email from Comcast with some data in it. And just if you have any problems with Comcast in the area, here's your point of contact. So I do receive those now being chair, which I'd never seen before, but for a business that is appreciative to give a contact. And Kathy Brown is here also, who tremendously helped move this along. Any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. 3 discussion items. Scott is going to give an overview of the county loan program.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is done with not just for the purpose of giving some background information, although it's critically important, I believe, based on the turnover that we've had on the board in the last 3 election cycles. But there is a nugget at the end that I'm going to let Member Blair tee up for the committee. But we just wanted to spend a couple of minutes with you today to share with you the various loan programs that we have and where they've come through the course of time. So the first loan program that we have is the Community Development Assistance Program, or CDAP. If you look at our financial statements, there's a separate fund. That's a special revenue fund called CDAP. It was originally seeded with money from HUD that came to us via the state of Illinois. The city actually has an identical program, but it was seeded directly from HUD with no middleman from the state. Our current balance in that fund is a little over $760,000, and we are not actively servicing any loans in that fund. So that means all the loans that we've previously made, and there are dozens of them that have been successful, have been paid off in full. Over the life of the program, which is multiple decades, longer than I've been an employee, to my knowledge, we've only had 3 defaults in the history of the program. We market the program as our GAP loan program, and GAP has a twofold meaning. First of all, it's an acronym for the Government Assistance Program, but more importantly, these are loans that are intended to fill the gap between the project cost, what the owner injects into the project, and then any traditional commercial lending that the owner has secured. The types and the parameters of loans that we make out of this fund do have restrictions, and those are all based on HUD guidelines. So some of those guidelines include there's a maximum loan value of $150,000. There are job retention or creation requirements. So for every $15,000 that you approve in a loan in this program, the business has to create or retain 1 full-time equivalent position within 1 year of receiving the loan. And at least 51% of those full-time equivalents that are either created or retained have to come from a low or moderate income household. From a funding stack, the guidelines require that the owner have a minimum 10% in the project, and that our loan is capped at 50% of the total project. There's also a significant laundry list of limitations on how the loan proceeds may be used and what they may be used for. And then collateral-wise, because we're filling a gap, we historically have a second position behind the commercial lender for land, building, equipment, inventory, those types of things. The second loan program that we have comes from our County State Capital Improvement Fund, or the Keystone Fund. Just by way of background, we call it the Keystone Fund because over a decade ago, probably pushing 15 years ago or more, we received 4 grants, each at $2.5 million from the state to try and save Keystone Steel and Wire. It did not prevent them from going into bankruptcy, but they did emerge from bankruptcy and reorganized and stronger, and they did repay the loan in its entirety early. And it was a forgivable loan. So had they not emerged from bankruptcy, the loan would have been forgiven, and we would not have this $10 million nest egg for economic development purposes. Today, they're known as Liberty Steel. You see the current balance is $8.7 million. Again, we have no active loans out of this program. The grant agreements that we got from the state, from which the money comes from, does restrict our use of these dollars to economic development, but economic development is pretty broadly defined. So if we can find a way to make it fit within the box of economic development, then it's an eligible use. So we have not done very many loans in this out of this fund. The first was a loan guarantee with Firefly Energy. Shortly after he retired from Caterpillar, Glenn Barton got active in the Quest Charter Academy. We did a loan to Quest for their initial acquisition of the building that is at the corner of McClure and University. We also funded an expansion of hair racing in Kickapoo. The most recent loan that we did was Trusker's move from south of War Memorial on Prospect up into the Heights and the Trailside Event Center. Quest, hair racing, and Trusker's, those have all been repaid in full and either early or on time. The last item, which again, depending on how you define economic development, that we fit into that box, is we funded as a loan the city's half of our reconstruction of the intersection at Allen and Willow Knolls Road. And then they have been making interest-only payments for the first 5 years. This year, now that the bonds for the construction of Charter Oak Road Extension have been paid in full. They issued those well over a decade ago as well. Now they have cash flow, and they will repay us the balance of that loan over the next several years. We've also, and we've talked about this over the course of time, we've also made investments using these funds. So that includes Greater Peoria EDC and our investment in the G-Beta program from Generator. One of the things that we talk about when we talk to the entrepreneurs and the founders at G-Beta is we found over the course of over the recent time that we can impact our local economy, impact job growth and retention much more effectively by investing in programs versus a business here or a business there. So some guidelines for when we do a loan from Keystone. There's 2 ways we can do that. One, we have the flexibility to create, a one-off or customized loan depending on what that project is. Or we actually do have a macro loan program that's been in existence for about a decade that follows very similarly the GAP loan program. It just has a bigger number. It has a $600,000 cap. The owner has at least 10% of the project in. We're capped at 33%. They still have the job creation and retention requirement, but we allow it to be over 2 years instead of 1. Again, there's restrictions on how the loan proceeds may be used. And there's still a need for traditional commercial financing. But again, if the project presents itself, such as the project where we did the intersection at Allen Road and Willow Knolls Road, we can create a one-off type of loan. Loan process, and this is applicable to both programs. Typically starts with a series of confidential meetings with the business owner and myself, or the person sitting in my chair, along with the EDC. If the project is in the city of Peoria, city staff are typically involved in those conversations as well. Recently, we've seen the need for non-disclosure agreements, so that's becoming more and more of a typical type of component of any process. When you read the weekly update and you see that I had a meeting with an economic development lead, that's what one of those meetings was. And on a confidential basis, always happy to talk to any one of you on a one-on-one type of arrangement to share any information that we can. Then once it's ready, a loan application is filed in our office. A loan review. We do have a loan review committee. It's chaired by Member Blair. It has been chaired by Member Blair since before she became a county board member. She's going to talk at the end of the next slide a little bit more about what that loan committee does and who the members are, so I won't steal her thunder there. But the county administration's goal and the loan committee's goal is to never put the board in a position to deny a loan request in a public meeting. That's we've seen, it's been quite some time, but we've seen in the past that that's bad for the board and it's bad for the business owner. And we don't want to put either one of those in that position. So once we get to a point in the process, then we also brief in all of you on various projects. We do that in concert with the chairman. So last slide is deal flow. We've had very little deal flow since emerging from the Great Recession. We've only done just a couple of loans. And that's because that board has, from the end of the Great Recession up until now, has taken a much more conservative approach as it relates to what our loss ratio might be. But here's the carrot at the end of the stick, so to speak. We do have 2 projects that are in the queue. One is not far enough along to really disclose publicly. The second is related to NFW, formerly Natural Fiber Welding. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Member Blair to talk a little bit about the loan committee process, membership, and a little bit about the Natural Fiber Welding project.
So I've chaired this loan review committee since 2010. Alan Mayer had asked me and some other members who understand entrepreneurship and accounting but don't have any kind of conflicts of interest to be part of this committee. The main goal of this committee is to be able to access confidential information such as audited financials, look at it and not have information that is private financial or strategic information of an organization put in an open meeting. So our goal is to take that information and come to a consensus on whether we would support this project or not. We meet with the company and ask them questions as well as review these documents. The current committee consists of me, Stephen Kerr, who's a professor of accounting at Bradley, Heather McCord, Sally Hanley from the Economic Development Center, Donald Schaefer, who is a retired banker, and Debbie Van Sickle, who is with Economic Development at the city of Peoria. Scott, you ready for me to talk about the loan? Okay, just making sure. By the way, we have several people from NFW here who can answer questions for you. We have Steve Zika, who is the president, Jennifer Welburn, the controller, and Ross Black, the director of corporate shared services and government relations. I hope I did that right. Okay, they're here, but we have discussed with them quite a bit of information. Their request and the recommendation coming out of this loan committee is a $3 million loan for the purchase of equipment for natural fiber welding. Pardon me, NFW. This allows them to scale their manufacturing to meet the needs of large companies. So they're at that point where in order to get a contract, they need to scale. Like in order to get a big contract, they need to scale up. But in order to scale up, they need to prove they have a big contract. So they're in that kind of vicious circle stage. So this is to help them with this. It increases the number of jobs in Peoria County. So Scott, see if I get the numbers right. There's currently 140 employees here in Peoria County. There'll be 40 more, 20 of which come from kind of low-income environments. Did I do my math right? Score. And so one thing to note, this equipment is off the shelf. It's not custom made for NFW, although they'll be using it for whatever custom products that they need to make. But it's, which means that if something were to go belly up, we have equipment we can sell. Certainly not dollar to dollar, but there is some collateral available for us, so this would not be a complete loss if something were to happen. The committee is in agreement that this is the right time in their startup process for where they can utilize this money effectively so that they can scale up. And so they're at that point in a hockey stick. We talk about hockey stick growth like this, right? Where this will allow them to scale up and to get some very large contracts. Many of us have gotten to tour NFW recently. I know about half of us have gotten to go there. We know that they're doing good work that's good for the environment, it's good for Peoria County, and it's good for people here looking for jobs. And I think that's a great piece of it. If you have specific questions, please come and talk to me one-on-one about those. So that I can answer those. And again, if you have specific questions for NFW, we've got people here to talk to you today.
Questions?
So, Mr. Chairman, while the committee mulls over some questions, the last point is this is at a point where we want to make a recommendation to the committee. We don't want to necessarily debate the merits here today, but I'd like to have a special committee meeting on May 9th. If a board member hasn't had an opportunity to have a tour yet of the facility, come talk to me and we can arrange that.
Thank you, Mr. Sorrell. Member Field.
Yeah, I was just going to ask when Member Blair was talking about employees and growth of employees, it looked like there were some reactions from representatives of NFW. Were those accurate numbers?
Pretty. I think the current employment base is closer to 170, 180. But the created new jobs created and the split of low mod income is accurate.
Pardon me if I misspoke. So it's closer to 170, 180 right now? Great. Steve, do you mind coming up to the microphone? Because we do have people listening online, so. Yeah.
Our total employee count is around 200, but I believe that the number cited is correct for Peoria County, 170 to 180. We have remote employees around the world servicing customers and partners, manufacturing partners and customers.
Thank you.
Member Renault.
My question isn't about the specific loan, but more the process of Dr. Blair's committee. Does the committee assign risk similar to like a financial institution does? Do you use kind of the same process that a financial institution does to assign risk to a loan?
So, in terms of assigning risk, if we talk about that in terms of what interest rate that we would give them, that's not correct. Help me, Scott, on what the interest is.
Yeah, so in both programs, the way loan interest rates are set up is whatever the prime rate in the Wall Street Journal is published the day before closing. less 3%. So right now the journal's prime rate's running about 8.5. So that means if we were closing tomorrow, the rate would be 3 points less than that, or 5.5, and it never goes below 3%.
So normally, like higher risk, higher interest, we are bound by that. Also, you know, when we created this committee, we asked, what is the county's risk tolerance? And at the time we were told 0, and that's not possible. Right? My hope is to really have a nice portfolio of loans with this money, so that if one were to default, we would have several that were successful. Currently, we are doing nothing with the Keystone money, or barely nothing. We are supporting some programs out of it. So we're not making any money with it. It just sits on our balance sheet and is a nice big number to sit on our balance sheet. I'd much prefer to see it being utilized and invested in this area where we get interest back on it. Did that kind of answer your question? I think that we felt comfortable with the level of risk and knowing that a county board is going to be more conservative than a venture capitalist, that this would be something that was worth taking the risk on. Also, again, there is some collateral here, and so that is something that helps protect us a bit.
I guess also to that is the process fairly standardized? Is each company that comes in asking for this loan, are they all treated the same and looked at the same?
So they may look a little different. We did get full audited financials for this company, as well as lots of information about the company. They have talked to us about current partners and future partners that look very good, like that these will be contracts that will work out. I don't want to give out any of that information, but I would say that we had very little concern that this will be an ongoing business. Unlike some of the past ones, they're making stuff already, right? They're making and selling stuff. They're not in the R&D phase. This is not cash going to R&D. This is cash to help them scale up, which is the next stage of where they need to be.
And just to clarify, just the process in general. I wasn't asking about
So,
this specific one.
So this is our first deal
in like 10 years.
Since pre-COVID. So the majority of the folks that were either on the committee or doing economic development in county administration are gone. So we've kind of had to completely reinvent the process as we've gone through this deal. And so we'll learn from this deal and make adjustments as necessary, but the goal would then to be to replicate the process that we followed with the business owner and the committee going forward, taking any of those lessons learned we'll continue to evolve that, because we always want to think about what could we have done better in that process.
So the loan review committee, only Stephen Kerr and me from Bradley are continuing members. We haven't seen a loan since Trefskers and Hare Racing, which was 2012-ish?
In the teens. We'll say in the teens.
Which has frustrated a lot of us, because we see all this. I mean, that money really helped those two companies and helped Peoria County, and we want to use this money for that. So the process, and that wasn't even Scott at that time on that process. So
Correct. It was an assistant county administrator who no longer is with us.
that's correct. So so I do think that, as I said, I would love to see a portfolio of businesses going forward, and then a process that kind of gets streamlined with it.
Member Phelan. A process-related question. Through this process, are county goals taken into consideration, and we look at companies and evaluate and make sure that their goals align with ours?
Yeah, we did look at those pieces, as well as things that are just supportive of Peoria County in general, such as job creation as one of them. One of the things that is great about this company is that they hire everyone from high school graduates through PhDs, so there's a lot of different diverse talent that they're working with.
Yeah, another point to the process. My role in the process is I'm not a member of the committee. My role is the point of contact for the business and to advocate for the business in the process up to the loan review committee making their decision. And then once the loan review committee makes their decision, then I flip a switch and I go back to not advocating, but preparing all the necessary documentation to get it before you for a vote.
Member Coates.
My question goes to the employees with the job creation. Now, my understanding, and maybe just to clarify, is there are 2 locations. So what I just want to know is, how many employees are at each location, and then with these newly created positions, will all of those be at the location where the equipment is going to be, where we're going to actually have that percentage of those employees of lower economic, communities?
Yep. Currently, we have 4 locations in Peoria County. We have the one up on Galena Road. We have an office space in Water Street, in building Water Street, 401 Southwest Water. We have our main manufacturing facility, 801 Southwest Jefferson. And then we have we run a small pilot plant up off of Allen Road in the old Shopco building. The machinery that we're buying with this fund will be in our Jefferson location. That's where we're doing our manufacturing scale up of our product we call Mirum. And the vast majority of the jobs, if not 100% of the jobs, would be in that Jefferson location.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
And a reminder that Heather is on that committee, on the loan committee too, so if you don't trust me, you can trust her.
Well, thank you to NFW for coming to today's meeting to set up the stage for a week here. I think, this is an economic development pot of money, and we've been sitting on it for a long time. We have the process. The process, Rob, thank goodness we have this process, because when I first got on, and Coach would remember, Paul might even remember, not very professional as we were discussing finances and full open meetings, boards. I mean, we had talks of people's mortgages and what they were paying. So this process was created to there. I think at this point, NFW has proven that they're more than just a startup. They're committed to the community. This is a win-win for NFW on a loan terms, and a win for us bringing more jobs and helping them have an even stronger footprint in Peoria area. So appreciate everybody involved. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh no, this is discussion. Getting ahead of myself. I was ready for it today.
To be clear, the loan committee met too late for this to get on
Okay.
the docket, which is why we'll have a special meeting. Although I'm sure Steve would be happy with you saying yes now.
All right. Well, thank you,
very
everybody.
much. Appreciate it.
Next up is county flag presentation and bicentennial. Gretchen?
Hello. Thank you. Yes, so as you may have noticed, whenever you see our county seal, done the math, we have a 200th anniversary coming up on the actual day is January 13th, 1825. We were carved out of what is Fulton County at the time by a state act. We're actually one of 10 counties created on that day. Pretty exciting. But on your agenda today is about how you're going to discuss how you might want to approach this milestone. And I'm not going to delve too much into that. I'm going to leave that to you. But I will quickly mention that team members have had some fun brainstorming ideas. I think I should pass on, some practical items like a special logo, maybe some not so practical items like fireworks off the courthouse roof. We think that would be also fun. So keep that in mind as you are discussing. But what I would like to get your feedback on before you get further into the bicentennial discussion is a project Nick Rubelin and my intern Sarah Jankowski have been working on regarding promotion of the Peoria County flag. Some more. One piece involves what they're going to do is they're going to start going around to some small business retail outlets, kind of showing them the different flag pieces we've done, stickers, pins, different ways they could maybe utilize it, coasters, things they can sell. Think of like relics. They sell a lot of local things. There's a lot of different retail outlets throughout the county. So they're going to be doing that and trying to connect them to vendors, and maybe also getting some contacts from them on some local artists who may want to utilize the flag more. Setting that up not just for the flag, but also perhaps going forward into next year. Another portion of the project that they've been talking about and we have is involves you as board members presenting flags to cities, villages, and townships in Peoria County, basically throughout the rest of the year. As Mr. Phelan might recall, he went out to Peoria Heights when they were celebrating their 125th anniversary, presented them with a flag and a proclamation at their board meeting from there. So we are hoping that you would be open to doing that around the county, different board members meeting as we can schedule it all, but you'd be presenting a fringe flag, just like the one we have here, for them to add to their boardrooms or their township rooms. With a stand, the pole is wooden, which is designed to be cut off to then match other flags that they might already have, which everywhere. And then, of course, we'd have a short statement for you to read, or even a proclamation to give them that evening. Not only spreading some goodwill, definitely on our end, getting the flag out there a bit more. It gets seen in an official setting. It gets in front of people. It gives you a chance to talk about it as an official symbol, make it more recognizable. But we also see this as a good lead up to the bicentennial to keep in mind. Kind of gives you an opportunity to engage with other public bodies, bring some awareness that it's kind of fast approaching. Maybe even seeing if they are willing to either, I don't know if help is a way to do it, but keep them engaged and get it on their radar as well as members. So I just kind of wanted to throw that option out to you if that is something you willing, interested in doing, and then kind of throw that back to your general discussion on how you might want to approach bicentennial as it quickly approaches next year.
Well, tackle one of the things here first. Is there any objections to presenting flags? I thought we were already going to do that in the process of presenting leased municipalities, but I think it's wise to even do the townships for the rural areas. So if there's no objections, let's move forward with that. And then if there's no objections for the bicentennial, I know I've already had people emailing wanting to create books and everything. So I think a typical process across other areas is to involve the community. So probably usually there's committees created, they tackle what every function you're gonna do. So what we would possibly be thinking is maybe a couple board members based off your interests, involve people like maybe the museum, people from the city to celebrate it across, and have community partners as part of that committee. I know depending on like fireworks, like you mentioned, sometimes when places do that, that is not tax dollars used. There's privately fundraised opportunities for that. So if nobody objects, we'll try to create a wide-reaching representative committee to try to tackle that situation and have a couple board members that might be interested. Or any other ideas? Alrighty. Is that direction enough? Or?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen. Standing committees. First up is infrastructure.
We had 4 resolutions, as you can see there, and the first one is our intergovernmental agreement that we are making with the Princeville Road District, and this has to do with the replacement of a concrete structure, concrete and wooden structure on Cemetery Road, and the cost of it is estimated around $1,300,000, and the cost to our counties through our bridge program fund will be $211,000. This will, of course, be bid. It's going to be in Mr. Elsesser's district, and I told him not to get too excited. It's going to be bid in 25, and they'll start work in 26. But the road has been closed since 21, so the township people think that it's deserving of being replaced and so forth. Our next resolution, of course, has got to do with the same structure, and that is that we had to, of course, have a engineering firm employed, and so the highway garage, they have chosen Terra, which they recommend that we approve to do the engineering on this. The next one is in my district. It's something that's been overlooked, and it has to do with, of course, giving part of a road back to the city. If you know where Scenic crosses War Memorial, I'll quickly tell you it's where Mr. Donut and Red Lobster and the Regions Bank, and that is, they're just right off of War Memorial. So we are going to give that back to the city. I should say we're going to give it to the city because the city never ever had it. They should have, but it's just been overlooked over the years, and so it's not going to cost anything. That's the key thing. Our last resolution, of course, you people have been dealing with Dry Run Creek for a while, and it's an erosion problem, as we know, and it continues to be a little bit of an erosion problem. Well, Amy and her staff, as well as some outside help that she received, they were able to get a grant from the state, and it will cover this. And so we put bids out on this, and the awarding of the bid goes to Stark out of Bloomington. The other company I'd worked for, Walker, a nice little company right down there on Farmington Road. But if you look at the amount of money in differences and so forth, Stark should get the bid. And if you remember in the past, we've had this particular problem with the erosion when PDC, as well as now it was GFL, they and along with the Greater Peoria Sanitary District, we all have been involved in that particular thing. So it's not going to cost us anything.
Thank you, Member Salzer. Any questions? Seeing none, Member Duncan, Ways and Means.
Was that me? God bless you, whoever that was. Oh, yes. Okay, the Ways and Means Committee, we had one resolution, and that was for monthly delinquent taxes, the listing for January 2024 and April 2024. April had one item, and January had 7 items, and it was passed.
Thank you, Member Duncan. Any questions? Seeing none, Member Rosenbaum, Land Use.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 zoning cases as a big docket yesterday, and then we had 1 subdivision waiver. The first zoning case was a petition of Stephen Dirtle to land split some of the family property and bring his business up to code with the proper zoning. The next 2 is from Peoria's Solar. They're out on Route 150. They're going to have, I believe, each solar farm, it's on the same one, but 2 sections. I believe it's 5,000 kilowatt. They're big ones. The next, let's see, 2, 4, 5 of them were from Gold Rush Apple Energy LLC. They're going to be putting up wind towers to measure wind speeds for the next 3 years up in the northern part of the county for a potential wind farm to come in after that. So everything passed unanimously on all those. Then we had a subdivision waiver with the Dirtle family. They want to have multiple owners on their lake, and it will be landlocked, and that subdivision waiver passed also.
Thank you, Member Rosenbaum. Any questions for land use? Seeing none, Member Ricker and County Operations.
Yeah, we had no resolutions this month.
Member Renault and Health.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did not have any resolutions. We did have a discussion item regarding the status of landfill 3 and some legal action that was taken. So if you have questions about that, I would reach out to either Scott, Ginny, or Sharon.
Thank you, Member Renault. Any questions for Health? Seeing none, Member Allison, Public Safety.
We had one resolution. It was to approve a 3-year contract for Cordon Health Services to provide drug testing to probation.
Any questions for Member Allison? Seeing none, Finance, Member Williams.
We had no resolutions.
Any questions for Finance? I think everybody was here. Looking forward to getting new software so I don't have to scroll over. Public comment. No public comment. Miscellaneous.
Yeah,
Member Duncan.
I would like to make everyone aware who haven't been made aware of the Veterans Assistance Commission's office. Will be moving this Friday, the 24th, I believe. Well, I'm sorry, the 26th, over to the area of Knoxville and Lake Street, right next to the Gold Pine and Bowles office. And that office will be closed on Friday, but opening back up on Monday.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Duncan. Appreciate it. Any else that are miscellaneous? If not, meeting adjourned.